So hello everyone and welcome to Career Launcher. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about a very important event which had happened almost 50 years back, and that is the national emergency that was imposed by Srimati Indira Gandhi ji. So it has recently completed 50 years, and that is why it becomes very important. So let us begin. So basically, this emergency that we are talking about was imposed on 25th June 1975. So if you add 50 years, it becomes 25th June 2025. So which we have seen very recently. So that is why it becomes very important. Okay, so let us begin. I'll be discussing this topic with the help of question and answer also. So the first question is, under which article of the Indian Constitution national emergency is imposed? Okay, so since it was in the news, it becomes important that you should know the article. So your options are Article 352, Article 356, Article 360, Article 365. What is the right answer to this question? So the right answer is A is the right answer. Article 352 talks about national emergency. 356 talks about state emergency, also known as president rule. So like you can see, we have currently president rule in the state of Manipur. Similarly, Article 360 talks about financial emergency. So till now, we have not seen financial emergency being imposed in India. So here the right answer is option A. Article 352 is the right answer to this question. Okay. Yes, you can see it here. So Article 352, proclamation of emergency. Now, so there are two types of national emergencies. One is called as external emergency, which is imposed due to war or external aggression, and internal emergency imposed due to armed rebellion. See, so basically, so the national emergency is imposed because of two reasons. One is called as external emergency, and another one is called as internal emergency. Okay. So external emergency is due to war or external aggression. External aggression. And internal emergency is due to earlier the reason was internal disturbance. This reason was there. And now later on, by 44th Amendment, this was changed to armed rebellion. So so it is said that Srimati Indira Gandhi ji misused this provision of internal disturbance because it is quite vague to impose national emergency on 25th June 1975. So that is why this term was later on changed to armed rebellion by 44th Constitutional Amendment 1978 when Janata Party government came to power. That is what you should be knowing. Okay. Now, so here we are talking about this. Now, one more thing was added. So earlier, the president declares, of course, national emergency on the advice of Prime Minister. But after 44th Amendment, you have to take the permission of all the Union Cabinet Ministers. So this provision was also added by 44th Constitutional Amendment 1978. That is what you should be knowing. Now, the next one is, the question is how many times we have seen national emergency being imposed? 1, 2, 3, or 4. So if you are watching it, you should write it in the comments. I'll be very happy to know. So basically, the answer to this question actually is 3 times. So we had already seen actually the national emergency was imposed during India-China 1962 war. Then India-Pakistan 1971 war. And 1975 also, but this one, the last one, was being criticized much more because these two were based on due to war. So it was an external emergency. And people can say that was required, so it can be justified. But the third one, it is said that was used what we call it as the term internal disturbance. So it was said that perhaps Indira Gandhi ji misused this. It was not required, but she had imposed emergency, and that is why this emergency is being criticized a lot. So although the decision was taken by the president at that time, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, but of course it is said that of course all the decisions was, for all practical purpose, it was taken by the prime minister, but the signature of course is of president, because article 352 clearly says that president, on paper president in actually proclaims emergency, but of course the decision was of prime minister. Okay, so yes, similarly we have at the state level what we call it as state emergency. So I'm giving a rough idea. So state emergency, article 352 is there, failure of constitutional machinery. Okay, article 356, state emergency. Similarly, financial emergency is article 360. So just have an idea, I have given an idea. So currently we are talking about national emergency, which is actually the topic of this class. Now the question is, although I have answered it already, who was the president of India who proclaimed national emergency on 25th June 1975? So I will be very happy if you will be answering it. So first of all, option A would not be the answer because she was the prime minister. So officially all the decisions are taken by the president. At that time, the president of India was Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed. So B is the right answer to this question. Okay, so these are the three incidents of emergency. Now the third one, which is the most criticized one, you should remember the date, 25th June 1975 to 21st March 1977. So almost around slightly less than 2 years, you can say, it was imposed. So yes, 25th June 1975 to 21st March 1977. And later on, a lot of people criticized it, like Mr. Morarji Desai, who had said that no one, not even the Prime Minister, is above the law. Then Harish Salve, former Solicitor General of India, also said. So Fali S. Nariman, a very famous lawyer, he was Additional Solicitor General. He was you can say the central government lawyer. So the senior most lawyer of the central government is actually called as Attorney General. Let me tell you. Attorney General is the senior most lawyer of the central government. Below it is Solicitor General. And below it are ASG is what you call Additional Solicitor General. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. Okay, so he was actually, Fali S. Nariman was a very famous lawyer. He died last year. So he was Additional Solicitor General and he resigned it as a mark of protest. Yes, so you can see he died last year. He was a very towering personality in the field of legal domain. He was a lawyer, senior lawyer. In fact, he was given these Padma Awards also. His son was a Supreme Court judge also, Justice R.F. Nariman. He also retired. So he was actually roughly around 90 years when he died. You can see. So almost around 85 years almost. That is what you should know. Not 85, I think 95. Right. So yes, these are the things. He wrote an article few years back before his death that I was law officer number 3, means he was Additional Solicitor General at that time. And this is the photo of Indian Express the next day, 26 June 1975. The Indian Express printed a actually blank editorial as a mark of protest against national emergency. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. So these are the things being talked. Now, so President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed imposed the national emergency, and it was followed. What were the reasons? So first, they have said the internal disturbance. I have told you, it was invoked because of the reason of internal disturbance, and this term was later on replaced by armed rebellion by 44th Amendment after Indira Gandhi ji lost the election. So in 1977, after stopping the emergency or after ceasing of emergency, like election happened and she lost it. Janata Party government came to power. Okay. And Janata Party government brought 44th Amendment, which brought a lot of safeguards against misuse of emergency powers. Okay. Okay. So basically, there are a lot of things that had happened. Okay. What were the reasons behind the emergency? One reason was JP movement. Jayaprakash Narayan had given a concept called as Sampoorn Kranti, which was started on 5th June 1974. You can see just 1 year before the emergency was invoked. So this actually JP movement was started from Bihar, from Patna University. Okay. And this was actually against corruption. Then there was election, like exams were not happening on time, hunger strike, many things were there. And that is why JP movement or Sampurn Kranti revolution was there. Total revolution movement was there. So one reason was this. So Srimati Indira Gandhi ji was facing a lot of opposition. Okay. And yes, I hope you are aware. So Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav, Mr. Sushil Kumar Modi, Mr. Ramvilas Paswan, and other politicians were also part of that JP movement. It is a very famous movement. Okay. Then the most important thing that happened, because of which perhaps Indira Gandhi ji invoked emergency, was this. This is what we call it as state of Uttar Pradesh versus Raj Narayan case, where Indira Gandhi ji's election was declared null and void. So Allahabad High Court, a single judge bench, Justice Jagmohan Lal Sinha of Allahabad High Court, passed an order saying that Indira Gandhi ji winning election from Rai Bareli is actually, I have declared it void because it violates section 123 clause 7 of Representation of People's Act. Okay. And if you are no more a member of parliament, of course, you are no more a prime minister. So what was the case? Actually, let me tell you what is 123 clause 7. So basically 123 talks about bribery, that if you bribe the people, then you will be disqualified as a member of parliament. Similarly, when you read 123 clause 7, it talks about actually getting the help. Okay, any assistance from a person, let's say under this, she was disqualified, Indira Gandhi ji. That if you are taking any help from gazetted officer, like class 1, class 2 officer, let's say any SDM, subdivisional magistrate, district magistrate, or any other SP, DM, DSP, if these people, officers, are helping a particular candidate, then also it is, if it is proven clearly, then also the candidate will be disqualified. So she was disqualified under this. Okay, 123 class 7. So when she was disqualified, Anna, from being holding any office and for the 6 years. So what will happen is she will no more be the prime minister because she has lost the that. So the matter was appealed in the Supreme Court against this decision. And look, 12 June 1975, the Allahabad High Court order came, and 25th June, Indira Gandhi ji invokes emergency. Or Indira Gandhi ji advises president to come up with the emergency or to proclaim the emergency so as to protect herself. Okay, that is what you should know. Now, when the matter was being heard, so the Allahabad High Court order, a single judge bench Allahabad High Court order disqualifying Srimati Indira Gandhi ji as a member of parliament from Rai Bareli. When the matter was being heard by the Supreme Court, the Indian Parliament brings a law to reverse that decision. Even the Indian Parliament comes up with the law. And what is that amendment called? If you know it, I'll be very happy to know. Write in the live chat. The right answer is 39th Amendment. So what happens is the 39th Amendment comes and it says it places the election of president, vice president, prime minister, and speaker of Lok Sabha beyond the scrutiny of Indian courts. It means the election cannot be even challenged. So the election of president, prime minister, vice president, and speaker of Lok Sabha under 39th Amendment, it said that it cannot be challenged in the court. Okay. So that, like the Allahabad High Court judgment can be reversed. However, later on, this was quashed by the Supreme Court later on. Okay. So today, this does not exist. Of course, the election of president, prime minister, and speaker of Lok Sabha, vice president can be challenged. So these are the things you should be knowing. Now, what are the things that had happened? I hope you all are aware. Pre-censorship of newspaper. All newspaper means before you have to publish any article, first, like tomorrow you are going to publish all those newspaper, first send it to the government will check it, then only it will allow. That's called as pre-censorship. Like pre-censorship happens in case of film even today. Like before releasing the film, you need a permission from CBFC. Why? So pre-censorship in this case is allowed because film has a huge impact, TV views, etc. So in that case, the government first checks it. And there is a censor board that checks it, whether there is any scene that needs to be cut or something like that. But newspapers are not subject to pre-censorship. But during emergency, this had happened. Okay. Then of course, editors were supposed to get government clearance before publishing news editorials and photographs. So many things, film censorship, and many things actually got regulated. Even Press Council of India was abolished. This is actually, even today it exists, which is supposed to control or regulate the press. That is the idea behind Press Council of India, generally headed by a former Supreme Court judge. Okay, we had discussed about 39th Amendment. Now, this one is very famous, 42nd Amendment. Actually, it gave a lot of power. Under 42nd Amendment 1976, it gave a lot of power. It brought a lot of changes, and that is why I'm sure you must have heard 42nd Amendment is called as mini constitution, because it changed a lot of things. Huge changes were done in one amendment. That is what you should be knowing. Then, of course, the most famous was mass sterilization. A forced sterilization, forced population control was done by doing operations and etc., so that they cannot have people, the population should be controlled. But of course, that was also not very much successful, etc. and all. The next is national emergency was lifted on 21st March 1977. After that, the election happened, and in 1978, in 1977, you can see Janata Party government came to power. Morarji Desai, others. And after that, Janata Party government, when they came to power on 24th March 1977, they set up a committee, Shah Committee. So Justice J.C. Shah was the former Chief Justice of India. So under him, a committee was set up to inquire about the misuse of power that were done during emergency. Okay. Not only that, Janata Party government made amendment to 44th Amendment 1978, which brought a lot of changes, brought a lot of safeguards, like replacing internal disturbance with armed rebellion and many other things, restoring the judiciary's power, etc. That is what you should be knowing. So Shah Committee inquiry, Justice J.C. Shah was the former CJI. So it talked about, came up with the report of how the powers were misused during national emergency. That is what you should be knowing. Okay, so these many people were detained me. So almost 2.2 lakh, etc. prisoners, etc. Sterilization drive were carried out. Forced retirement of government officials, where their press restriction, media was not allowed to write any article critical of the government. Content control, of course, media classification. So media was classified friendly, neutral, and hostile. Means if you are pro-government, you are friendly. If you are writing anything against the government, you are hostile. And the middle path is neutral. So these things were also declared. Now, the next is when the president declares national emergency, what is the time limit under which the parliament has to approve it? I hope you are aware. So parliament has to approve it by special majority. Earlier, it was simple majority. So simple majority earlier, and earlier time limit was 2 months. But again, after 44th Constitutional Amendment, 1978, I've told you it brought a lot of safeguards. 2 months was reduced to 1 month. And simple majority was increased to special majority. Okay. Simple majority, I'm explaining in simple. Half majority is required. Special majority, almost 2/3 is required. Okay. I'm not going in detail. I have given a rough idea. Okay. So within 1 month, if the president, if the national emergency is imposed by president, within 1 month, parliament has to pass the resolution in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha with the special majority. Then only after 1 month, it will continue. Okay. That is what you should be knowing about. Earlier, it was 2 months. 2 months time was given, and earlier it was, instead of special majority, it was actually simple majority was there. That is what you should know. Okay. 2/3 means special majority. Earlier, the case was simple majority. Earlier means before 44th Amendment, 1978. Okay. Yes, I'm not going in that detail about those provisions because that is not for you, the small detailed provision. Similarly, in financial emergency, if it is declared by the president, you will get 2 months time. Okay. And that needs a simple majority. Means half of the people should sitting in the parliament, on that they should approve. Similarly, in case of constitution machinery in state, in case of president rule or a state emergency also, you are given 2 months time, and a simple majority is required to be passed through both the houses. Now, the next is which article of the Indian Constitution is suspended when national emergency is declared on grounds of war or external aggression. This is, we are talking about external emergency. So whenever an external emergency is declared, by default, this article gets suspended. So what is the right answer? The right answer is Article 19, freedom of speech and expression. So in which case, not in case of internal emergency. I'm saying in case of external emergency. Okay. It's written, Article 358, when you read, you will get no. That proclamation of national emergency due to war or external aggression, Article 19 immediately gets suspended. Okay, these are the things you should know. Now, this is slightly on a higher side, but okay, let me tell you. There are two articles which are not suspended. So here the answer is 20. There are two articles, even during emergency, its enforcement cannot be suspended. And that is Article 20 and 21. This was again brought under 44th Constitutional Amendment. Because Article 19 is by default suspended, but you should know that the president can suspend other articles also, suspend the enforcement of other articles, except Article 20 and 21. Okay, so Article 21 is related with right to life. This is very, very important. Article 20 and 21 cannot be suspended even during emergency. Now, this was added. This provision of 20 and 22 was added by 44th Amendment, 1978. Okay. Okay. So basically, this is a very famous case, and this is not for you. This is for law entrance student, but you should know it, that at that time there was a provision. This was a heavily criticized judgment of Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court has said that habeas corpus does not stand in case of emergency. So I'm not going in that detail because this is slightly on a higher side for those who are preparing for MBA. So just have an idea that Article 20 and 21 cannot be suspended even during the emergency. That is what you should know. This is the today's stand. Today, this is the rule. Although during Indira Gandhi ji time, this was not the rule. Now, when it comes to revoking of national emergency, one thing is president can directly declare. Okay. Or after 6 months, like after 6 months, let's say the national emergency is declared, the parliament approves it, and after 6 months, if the parliament further does not approve, then of course it will stop. One more way is actually, there's one more way of stopping this. And that is the Lok Sabha, if passes a resolution in this regard. Okay. Then also, of course, the emergency can be revoked. What are the cases before 44th Amendment and after? So internal disturbance term has been replaced by armed rebellion. That is what I have discussed. So earlier, within 2 months after the president has declared emergency, within 2 months, the president has to actually, the parliament has to approve it. Now it requires 1 month. Earlier it was simple majority. Now it is special majority is required to be approved from both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And once it was approved, unless and until the president revokes, it will be there. But now it is for 6 months, and you have to keep on approving by the parliament again and again. Okay. Revocation was done by the president before 44th Amendment. But now it can be done by the president, or can be done by the Lok Sabha, or if not, if after 6 months the parliament has not further approved it, then also it will stop. Okay. Of course, Article 19 immediately gets suspended when the emergency is declared on the ground of external reasons, external emergency. Okay, that is what you should know. So that is even today also. Fair. Today, this is today. Yes, and suspension of even this is after 44th Amendment. Yes, that even if there is an emergency, whether it's external or internal, enforcement of Article 20 and 21 cannot be suspended. This is after 44th Amendment. Now, which amendment is called as mini constitution? I have discussed. Please remember it. This is called as 42nd Amendment, 42nd Constitutional Amendment, 1976. Okay. Why I'm telling you? Because this was brought during 1975 to 77 was emergency. I've told you 25th June 1975, 21st March 1977. And during this time, during this period, 42nd Amendment, mini constitution was brought, which brought a lot of changes in the Indian Constitution. Okay, that is what you should be knowing. First emergency, second emergency, third one, the most criticized one, was based on internal reasons. These two were external. Okay. And for the second amendment, please read it a little bit about this mini constitution. And the 42nd amendment, so currently it was very much in the news, brought 3 terms in the preamble. What are those 3 terms? So the 3 terms were sovereign, socialist, secular. Sovereign was there already. Socialist, secular, and integrity word were added. Not pucha ja raha, so the answer would be B. Okay, so I'll tell you. So socialist, secular, and integrity. These 3 words were, this is the original one. This was added later on by 42nd amendment, socialist, secular, and integrity. Now, so there has been debate that whether we need to remove those terms, etc. So the answer is actually, see, these are symbolic terms. Like socialist, Indian constitution is socialist not because it is mentioned in the preamble. Socialist because of DPSP and other welfare state provision. Secular means people of all the religion are treated equally. So it was originally also there. Article 14, equality before law, 324, 325, 326, universal adult franchise. Okay, Article 25, right to freedom of religion, etc. So basically, these are symbolic in nature. It isn't like that you added in 42nd amendment and suddenly India became secular or socialist. No, it was there even originally also. But these are symbolic terms that were added later on. These 3 were added by 42nd amendment. Okay, 1976. Okay, so why debate to drop socialist, secular? Preamble is needless. So these things were coming recently in the newspapers. That is why I have discussed also, because maybe they can ask questions from these 3 terms. That these 3 terms in the preamble were added by which amendment? So 42nd amendment, also known as mini constitution. Okay, this is what you should be knowing about. So we are ending this class here. Please subscribe to our channel. Press the like button. Share this video. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.